The sky over Haven Ridge was already burning when Ethan Brooks realized the evacuation had failed. Thick smoke rolled between half-broken towers, turning daylight into a red haze. Alarms screamed from every direction, some human, some alien, all blending into one endless warning. The ground shook as another orbital strike hit the edge of the city. Windows shattered, metal screamed. People ran with nothing but fear pushing them forward. Ethan's transport sat on a cracked landing pad, its engines whining in protest. It was an old civilian ship, patched together more times than he could remember. It was never meant to outrun warships, but it was all he had. He had already loaded as many refugees as he could carry. Families were pressed together inside the cargo bay, holding bags, holding hands, holding on to hope that barely existed anymore. His wrist console flashed red. Evacuation window closing, enemy forces entering airspace. Ethan cursed under his breath and started sealing the ramp. Every instinct told him to lift off now or die here. Then a faint sound cut through the chaos. A distress ping. He froze. The signal was weak, almost buried under static, coming from the ruins 2 blocks away. It was not a military call. It was civilian. Medical. Ethan looked back at the ship. People stared at him, fear clear in their eyes. One wrong move and he would get them all killed. Another explosion rocked the street. Dust fell from the sky like ash. Ethan clenched his jaw. "Stay here," he said to no one in particular. "I'll be fast." Before anyone could argue, he grabbed his med pack and ran. The streets were a nightmare. Burned vehicles blocked the roads. Bodies lay where they had fallen, some human, some alien. This colony had been mixed before the war reached it. Traders, refugees, workers. Now war did not care who belonged where. Ethan followed the signal to a collapsed medical shelter. Half the building had sunk into the ground. The rest leaned at a dangerous angle. Smoke poured from the cracks. "Hello?" he shouted. "Anyone alive?" A soft sound answered him. Not a voice, a cry. It was a baby. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs as he climbed over broken stone and twisted metal. Inside, the air smelled of blood and burned plastic. Emergency lights flickered, barely holding on. In the far corner, behind a fallen beam, someone moved. Ethan raised his hands slowly. "I'm human," he said. "I'm here to help." 2 wide eyes stared back at him. Not human eyes. The girl could not have been older than 18. Her skin was a pale blue-gray, marked with dark veins from injury. One side of her face was burned. Her breathing was shallow. In her arms, wrapped in torn fabric, was a small baby. She pulled the child closer, fear and hatred flashing together. Her free hand reached for something sharp. Ethan stopped. "I won't hurt you." She shook her head weakly. Her voice was rough. "Liar. Humans kill us." "Not like this," he said. "Not a kid. Not a baby." The baby cried louder, tiny fists waving. Ethan noticed something strange. The child's skin tone was not fully human or alien. It was something in between. Hybrid. Ethan swallowed. The girl's strength faded. Her grip loosened as pain took over. She collapsed against the wall, still trying to shield the baby. Ethan moved fast. He slid under the beam and checked her injuries. Broken leg, burns, internal bleeding most likely. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lyra," she whispered. "Please, don't take him." "I won't," Ethan said without thinking. "I swear." Another explosion hit nearby. The ceiling cracked. Dust rained down. Ethan knew they had seconds. He lifted the beam just enough and pulled them free. Lyra cried out, then bit her lip to stay silent. Ethan wrapped her leg and injected painkillers. Then he gently took the baby. The child stared at him with calm eyes, far too calm for the world falling apart around them. Ethan felt something shift inside his chest. They did not belong to the war. The building groaned, ready to collapse. Ethan carried the baby and half-dragged Lyra toward the exit. Fire licked the walls behind them. Outside, The sky cracked open with light as alien fighters streaked overhead. Anti-air guns fired blindly. Ethan reached his ship just as panic rose among the passengers. "Alien!" someone shouted when they saw Lyra. Ethan turned. His voice cut through the noise. "She's hurt. She's civilian. And that's a baby." Silence followed. No one argued. Ethan loaded them inside and sealed the ramp. The engines roared as he lifted off, debris slamming against the hull. A missile lock warning screamed. He punched the controls and dove low, skimming burning rooftops before pulling straight up. A blast tore past the ship, shaking it hard. Then space swallowed them. The stars blurred as the ship jumped. Only then did Ethan breathe. Lyra passed out soon after. Ethan secured her in a med chair and treated her wounds as best he could. The baby slept in a thermal cradle, chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. Ethan sat back, exhausted. His hands trembled. He checked the ship systems. Fuel low. Hull damaged. Communications unstable. Then a new alert flashed. Multiple tracking signals detected human and non-human. Ethan laughed once, bitter and tired. "Of course," he muttered. When Lyra woke, her eyes searched the room in panic. She tried to move and cried out in pain. "Easy," Ethan said. "You're safe, for now." She looked at the baby. Relief flooded her face. "Noah," she whispered. "That's his name?" Ethan asked. She nodded slowly. "I named him." Ethan accepted it without question. Lyra studied him carefully. "Why did you help us?" Ethan thought about the burning city, the screams, the bodies. "Because someone had to." She did not answer. But her grip on the blanket loosened. Hours passed in tense silence. The ship drifted through dark space, hiding its heat signature. No one spoke. No one slept much. Then the baby cried again. Ethan adjusted the cradle. The crying stopped almost instantly. Lyra watched in quiet shock. "He responds to you," she said. Ethan shrugged. Kids do that sometimes. But deep down, he knew this was different. Outside, distant flashes of battle lit the stars. Inside a broken ship, a human, an alien girl, and a baby became something dangerous to the universe. They became a choice, and the war had no idea what it had just created. The ship drifted through empty space like a wounded animal trying not to be seen. Ethan Brooks kept the engines low, just enough to stay alive. Every system was pushed into silent mode. Lights were dim. Heat vents were closed. The ship was hiding, but hiding never lasted long during war. Lyra lay strapped into the med chair, her skin pale and damp. The painkillers kept her calm, but not asleep. Her eyes followed every sound, every small vibration of the ship. She had lived too long under fear to truly rest. The baby slept between them, wrapped in a soft thermal cloth. Noah's breathing was steady, calm, almost peaceful. It felt wrong, seeing something so small sleep while the universe hunted him. Ethan checked the scanners again. Faint signals blinked at the edge of range. They were being tracked. Not close yet, but close enough to be dangerous. Ethan rubbed his face and leaned back in the pilot's seat. He had escaped battlefields before, but never like this. Never with a child. Never with an alien who trusted him only because she had no other choice. Lyra finally spoke. "You should leave us." Ethan did not look at her. "Not happening." "They will kill you," she said. "Humans will not forgive you for this." "Maybe," he said. "But I can live with that." She studied him, confused. "Why are humans like this?" Ethan smiled without humor. "We're not all the same. Some of us just make bad decisions at the right time." The ship shook lightly. A warning beep echoed through the cabin. Fuel critical. Ethan cursed quietly. "We need supplies." Lyra's eyes widened. "Where?" "There's a salvage zone nearby," Ethan said. "Old mining outpost. Abandoned." "Maybe." "Or a trap," she said. "Everything is a trap now," he replied. He guided the ship toward a cluster of dark rocks. The outpost appeared slowly. Broken platforms and dead lights floating in silence. The moment they docked, Ethan grabbed a toolkit and weapon. He hesitated, then handed Lyra a small comm unit. "If something happens," he said, "get to the cockpit. Hit the jump button." "I cannot walk," she said. Ethan looked at Noah, then back at her. "Then I won't let anything happen." Inside the outpost, the air was cold and stale. Zero gravity made every movement slow and careful. Old crates drifted like ghosts. Ethan worked fast, pulling power cells, ration packs, water filters. His heart raced with every sound. Then the scanner beeped. Movement. Ethan froze. Voices echoed through the metal halls. Human voices. Salvagers. Or mercenaries. Ethan backed away slowly, keeping silent. He secured the supplies and pushed off toward the exit. A spotlight snapped on. "Hey!" a voice shouted. "That ship is ours!" Ethan did not wait. He kicked off hard and flew through the hatch, sealing it behind him. Gunfire rattled against the hull as he launched. The engines flared, brighter than he wanted, but survival mattered more than stealth. The ship jumped just as a missile lock formed. Space folded. They escaped again, but not clean. A blast caught the rear hull. Alarms screamed. The ship spun out of control before Ethan stabilized it. Inside, Lyra cried out as pain flared through her leg. Noah woke and began to cry. Ethan rushed back, holding the ship steady with one hand while calming the baby with the other. "It's okay," he whispered. "I've got you." Noah quieted. Lyra watched this with something close to disbelief. In her world, humans were monsters. Soldiers who burned cities and took children for experiments. She had grown up hearing stories that made fear a daily companion, but this human held a child like he mattered more than the war. Hours later, the ship drifted in a dark nebula. Clouds of ionized gas masked their presence. It was dangerous, but safer than open space. Ethan repaired what he could. The damage was bad, but manageable. Lyra spoke softly. "They will not stop hunting him." Ethan nodded. "I know. The Empire sees him as property," she said. "Your people will see him as a threat." Ethan looked at the baby. "Then both sides are wrong." Lyra closed her eyes. "They made him to survive anything. Pain, cold, radiation. They wanted a symbol of control." Ethan felt anger rise. "He's not a symbol. He's a kid." Noah stirred and reached out, his tiny hand wrapping around Ethan's finger. The grip was strong, far stronger than it should be. Ethan swallowed. The scanners flared again. 2 ships this time, 1 human patrol craft, 1 Zalrith hunter. They had found them. Ethan pushed power to the engines and flew deeper into the nebula. Lightning flashed around the hull. Systems flickered. "Hold on," he said. The human ship opened fire first, not caring about the alien vessel. Blasts tore through the gas clouds. The Zalrith ship returned fire. Ethan flew between them. It was madness. Plasma scorched the hull. Alarms wailed. The ship screamed. Lyra held on to Noah, shielding him with her body. Then something strange happened. The ship stabilized. Energy readings dropped around them. The scanner cleared just for a second. Noah glowed faintly. Not bright. Just enough. The energy storms around the ship calmed, bending away as if pushed aside. Ethan stared. "Did you see that?" Lyra nodded slowly. "He did that." The 2 warships lost targeting for a moment. Ethan did not waste it. He dove straight down, letting gravity and chaos carry them away. The jump engine charged slower than normal. Too slow. A human voice broke through the static. "Civilian vessel, power down immediately." Ethan opened the channel. "There's a child on board." Silence. Then the Zalrith ship fired. The blast missed, but close enough to shake everything loose. The jump engine finally charged. Space tore open. They vanished. When the jump ended, the ship was barely holding together. Systems shut down one by one. Ethan slumped into the chair, exhausted. They were alive. For now. Lyra looked at him. Tears forming. "You could have left us." Ethan met her eyes. "I won't." Outside, the war raged on. Inside a broken ship, trust was forming where hatred was supposed to live. And no matter how far they ran, the universe would not forget them. Because some lives were worth chasing, and some choices changed everything. The ship came out of the jump like a stone thrown into water. Everything shook. Ethan Brooks barely had time to grab the controls before the engines cut out. Warning lights flashed once, then went dark. The ship drifted, silent and powerless. Outside the view window, a gray world filled the stars. A planet. No signals, no traffic, no lights. Ethan let out a slow breath. "We're down." Lyra tightened her hold around Noah. "Are we dead?" "Not yet," Ethan said. "But we're not flying anywhere." The ship's momentum pulled them toward the planet. Gravity reached out and took them. The hull began to glow as thin air burned against metal. Ethan fought the controls, using what little power remained. The ship screamed, shaking apart piece by piece. Then the ground rushed up. Impact came hard. Metal tore. Systems failed. The world spun and went black. When Ethan woke, his head throbbed and his ears rang. Smoke filled the cockpit. Emergency lights flickered weakly. "Lyra," he croaked. "Noah." A soft cry answered him. Relief hit him so hard he almost laughed. He forced himself up and stumbled toward the cargo area. Lyra lay against the wall, bruised but alive. Noah was in her arms, crying but unharmed. Ethan dropped to his knees. "Thank God." Lyra looked at him, shaken. "Where are we?" Ethan checked the cracked display panel. "Some dead planet. Atmosphere thin. Radiation high." "We cannot stay," she said. "We don't have a choice," he replied. Outside, the wind howled across empty stone plains. The sky was a dull white, the sun small and cold. Broken structures dotted the horizon, half-buried and ancient. "This place was not always dead," Ethan said quietly. They set up what shelter they could inside the broken ship. Power was almost gone. Heat barely held. Lyra's leg was worse. Infection had started. Ethan cleaned the wound and gave her the last of the antibiotics. "You need rest," he said. "You too," she replied. But neither slept much. Hours later, something strange happened. Noah stopped crying. Ethan looked over. The baby was awake, eyes wide, staring at the cracked hull. Outside, radiation levels spiked as a solar wave passed over the planet. Alarms tried to sound, then died. Ethan rushed to shield the child, then the readings dropped. Radiation faded like it had never been there. Ethan froze. Lyra whispered, "He's adapting." Noah yawned and went back to sleep. Ethan sat down slowly. "This isn't normal." "He was never meant to be normal," Lyra said. "They designed him to survive any world, any war." Ethan clenched his fists. "They turned a baby into a tool." Lyra looked away. "That is what empires do." The next day, movement appeared on the horizon. Metal shapes rose from the sand. Machines. Ancient defense units activated by the crash. They moved slowly, scanning the area. Red lights passed over the ship. Ethan cursed. "We're not alone." The machines closed in. Weapons unfolded from rusted frames. Lyra pulled Noah close. "They will kill us!" Ethan grabbed a tool and stepped outside. "Hey!" he shouted, waving his arms. "We're not hostile!" The machines did not respond. A beam charged. Then Noah cried. The sound echoed across the plain. The machines froze. Their lights shifted from red to soft blue. Ethan stared in disbelief. One machine turned toward the baby. Symbols lit across its surface. It powered down its weapon. "They recognize him," Lyra whispered. "This planet. Maybe it was part of the same research." The machines lowered themselves into the ground, forming a barrier around the ship, protecting them. Ethan laughed quietly. The kid just saved us. Days passed. They scavenged the ruins, finding old shelters and water extractors. The machines helped, silently repairing structures when Noah was nearby. Lyra slowly regained strength. She learned to walk again with support. Ethan taught her simple human words. She taught him about the Empire, about fear, about obedience. At night, they sat together watching the cold sky. "Do you regret helping us?" Lyra asked once. Ethan looked at Noah sleeping between them. "No," she nodded. "Then neither do I." But peace never lasted. The scanners came back online, signals, multiple, ships entering orbit, human and Zalrith. They had been followed. Ethan's stomach sank. "They're coming." Lyra stood tall despite the pain. "Then we protect him." The machines rose again, weapons ready. The first shots fell from the sky, shaking the ground. The war had found them, and this time, it would not be easy. But humanity had already made its choice, and so had she. The first explosions hit the planet like falling stars. Fire streaked through the thin sky and slammed into the dead ground around the crashed ship. Dust and stone rose in tall clouds. The ancient machines reacted at once, rising from the sand like metal giants waking from long sleep. Ethan Brooks grabbed his pack and checked the small weapon he carried. It was not much, but it was something. His eyes moved between the sky and the shelter where Lyra held Noah close. Ships filled the air above them. Human drop craft. Zalrith war hunters. Both sides had arrived at the same time, and neither planned to leave without the child. "Stay behind me," Ethan said, stepping in front of Lyra. She shook her head. "We stand together." The first human soldiers landed not far from the ship. They moved fast, weapons raised, faces hidden behind helmets. Moments later, Zalrith troops descended on the other side, their armor dark and sharp, their movements cold and precise. Gunfire erupted. The ancient machines opened fire in response, heavy beams cutting through the chaos. The ground shook as one human craft exploded in mid-air. Zalrith soldiers scattered for cover. Ethan watched in shock. "This is turning into a slaughter." Lyra's voice was steady. "This planet does not belong to them." A loudspeaker crackled to life from the human side. "Civilian vessel," a calm voice said. "You are harboring a biological weapon. Surrender the child immediately." Ethan clenched his teeth. He activated the comm channel. "He's not a weapon," Ethan said. "He's a baby." Silence followed. Then the voice returned, colder. "Stand down or be destroyed." The Zalrith commander answered next, his voice sharp and full of hate. "Return the asset to the Empire or all will die." Ethan looked at Lyra. "They both want him." She nodded. "And they both fear him." A blast struck close, throwing Ethan to the ground. The shelter shook. The machines redirected fire, shielding them. Noah began to cry. The sound cut through the battle. The machines paused. Energy fields strengthened around the shelter, deflecting incoming fire. Human soldiers stared in confusion as their shots bent away. Zalrith troops hesitated, fear creeping into their movements. Ethan stood again and raised his hands. "Look at him!" he shouted over the noise. "He's scared. That's all. If this is what you call a weapon, then you've lost your minds." A human soldier lowered his rifle. Another followed, then a third. The human commander spoke again, quieter now. "Identify yourself." "Ethan Brooks," he said, "civilian pilot, rescue engineer." "You are violating direct orders," the commander replied. Ethan nodded. "Then arrest me, but leave the child alone." On the Zalrith side, Lyra stepped forward despite the pain in her leg. Her voice carried strong and clear. "This child belongs to no empire," she said. "You made him to rule through fear. I will not let that happen." The Zalrith commander hissed in rage. You are nothing but a traitor." "Maybe," Lyra said, "but I am his protector." A Zalrith weapon fired. One of the ancient machines moved faster than thought, blocking the shot. It shattered against its shield. The machines turned fully against the Zalrith forces. Battle exploded again. Human troops, seeing the machines focus on the Zalrith, shifted positions. Confusion spread through their ranks. Ethan took his chance. He opened a private channel to the human commander. "You want to know what kind of weapon he is?" Ethan said. "He stops wars. He calms storms. He makes machines choose protection over killing. If you kill him, you prove everything the Empire says about us." There was a long pause. Then the commander replied, "Stand by." Human fire slowed. Some soldiers began helping wounded civilians who had been trapped in the crossfire, survivors from old ruins nearby. Ethan saw it and felt something break and heal inside his chest at the same time. The Zalrith, seeing humans hesitate, attacked harder. They pushed toward the shelter, desperate. Lyra knelt, shielding Noah with her body. "Do not be afraid," she whispered to him. "We are here." Noah's cries softened. Light spread from him, gentle but strong. The ancient machines responded, forming a solid ring around the shelter. Their weapons powered down. The battlefield fell quiet. Even the wind seemed to stop. Human and Zalrith soldiers froze, staring in disbelief. The Zalrith commander screamed orders, but none of his troops moved. Fear had replaced obedience. The human commander removed his helmet and stepped forward slowly. His face was tired, lined by years of war. "This ends now," he said. "We will not fire." Ethan let out a breath he did not realize he was holding. The Zalrith commander backed away, hatred burning in his eyes. "This is not over." His ships lifted off, retreating under the watch of the machines. The human forces stayed. Medics moved in. Weapons were lowered. The commander approached Ethan and Lyra. He looked at the child, then at them. "He will change everything," the commander said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Only if we let him live." The commander gave a short nod. "We will protect him." Above them, the ancient machines slowly sank back into the ground, their purpose fulfilled. The planet grew silent again. War still burned across the stars. But here, for one moment, humanity chose something better, and that choice would echo far beyond this dead world. Ethan Brooks sat on the cracked floor of the shelter, staring at the small child sleeping peacefully in Lyra's arms. The sky outside was quiet now, the battle over. But the air still carried smoke and dust from the destroyed ships. He felt a strange mix of relief and exhaustion, the kind that pressed down on your chest and made it hard to breathe. Lyra looked at Noah, brushing a few strands of gray-blue hair from his face. "He's alive," she whispered, almost to herself. "He survived everything." Ethan nodded. "And he will survive more," he said softly. "We'll make sure of it." They had won, in a sense, but victory was fragile. Human forces now patrolled the planet, watching over them, while a few Zalrith ships lingered in orbit, reluctant to leave the area entirely. Every day brought uncertainty, but for the first time, Ethan felt like they had a chance. The humans set up a temporary camp near the shelter. Commanders walked among the survivors, talking quietly, making lists, and giving orders. Soldiers carried water and rations. Medics treated wounds. Ethan and Lyra helped when they could, though Lyra still walked carefully, favoring her injured leg. Noah slept through most of it, sometimes stirring to reach for Ethan's finger. Ethan sat outside the shelter, watching the alien sky. The stars were small and pale, barely visible through the dust and clouds. He thought about the war raging beyond the planet, the countless lives lost, the endless fight for control. He had seen enough destruction to know that this small moment of peace might not last. Yet looking at Noah, he felt hope. "Ethan," Lyra said, her voice soft, "what will happen to us now?" He turned to her. We leave when it's safe. We find a world where he can grow up free, away from war, away from people who want to use him. She nodded slowly. A home. For him. Days passed. Ethan and Lyra taught each other small things. Human language, alien culture, survival skills. Noah grew stronger, learning to crawl over the uneven floor of the shelter, reaching for objects, exploring the small space like he already understood he was special. The humans guarding them respected the child, careful not to frighten him. One afternoon, a human officer approached Ethan. "We've arranged relocation," he said. "A hidden world on the edge of explored space. Few humans go there, few aliens. It's safe." Ethan glanced at Lyra. She smiled faintly, relief in her eyes. Noah stirred in her arms, cooing. "We leave at first light," Ethan said. That night, they packed what little they could carry. The shelter, once a place of fear and chaos, felt empty without the tension of battle, but also strange, quiet, and solemn. Ethan walked through it one last time, memories of the fight flashing in his mind, the orbital strikes, the mercenaries, the ancient machines, Noah glowing to save them all. Lyra took Noah in her arms. "Ready?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "Let's go home." The transport ship waited nearby, hidden in a canyon, its engines humming softly. Ethan checked the systems. Fuel full, navigation ready, shields reinforced. The human escort would cover them for the initial jump. They climbed aboard, and Ethan started the engines. The hum grew louder, filling the cabin with energy. Noah sat between them in a small, secured cradle. He reached out for Ethan's hand, and Ethan gripped it firmly. Lyra smiled, brushing the baby's soft hair. The stars outside seemed brighter now, like they had survived the darkness and were finally free to shine. As the ship lifted off, Ethan looked back at the planet. The dust clouds slowly settled. The ancient machines had returned to the ground, inert, silent. Ethan felt a strange respect for them. They had protected the child without question. The universe had many guardians, he realized, some of them very old and mysterious. The journey through space was long and quiet. Noah slept most of the way, waking only to feed or cry. Ethan and Lyra took turns watching, keeping the ship on course, repairing small systems, and talking softly to each other. They didn't speak of the war much, only of the future. "Do you think it will ever end?" Lyra asked one evening, her voice tired. "I don't know," Ethan replied. "But maybe it doesn't have to end for us. Maybe we just keep surviving. Keep protecting what matters." Lyra nodded, holding Noah close. The child gurgled, reaching for her face, and she laughed softly. Ethan smiled too, feeling the warmth of a small family forming in the vast emptiness of space. Finally, the hidden planet came into view. Green and blue, it looked untouched, quiet and safe. The human escort broke off, leaving Ethan's ship to approach alone. The atmosphere was thin but breathable with life support. Landing was smooth. The ship touched down on soft grass, shaking gently, dust rising around them. Ethan opened the ramp. Lyra stepped out carefully, holding Noah, and breathed deeply. The air smelled fresh, sweet, like spring. Ethan followed, taking in the rolling hills and distant mountains. For the first time in a long time, there was no war, no explosions, no alarms, just quiet. "This is it," Ethan said, looking around. "Home." Lyra set Noah down on the soft grass. The baby crawled a little, then stood, wobbling, laughing as he reached for Ethan and Lyra. The sight filled both their hearts with a joy they hadn't felt in years. Ethan knelt beside him. "You're safe now, little one," he whispered. "Nothing can touch you here." Lyra smiled, tears forming in her eyes. "We will protect him, always." The sun set slowly over the hills. painting the sky in warm orange and pink. Ethan and Lyra stood together, watching Noah take his first unsteady steps on the new world. The wind carried the faint sound of distant birds. A gentle peace settled over them, one they had not known in years. For now, the universe could rage. War could continue elsewhere. Enemies could still hunt and fight. But here, on this hidden world, a child of two worlds had a chance to live freely, and humanity, in the smallest way, had made the choice to protect life rather than destroy it. Ethan watched Noah stumble toward Lyra, arms outstretched. He reached them, laughter spilling from his mouth. Lyra caught him, spinning him gently. Ethan felt something inside him soften. A weight lifted. "We did it," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. Lyra nodded. "For him, we did it." As night fell, stars blanketed the sky, brighter than they had seemed in years. The ship rested quietly in the background. The planet hummed with life, small insects calling, wind moving through grass, distant water flowing. A fragile peace, hard-won, had been earned. Ethan took Lyra's hand. She squeezed it. Together, they watched the stars, their baby safe in their arms. And for the first time, they dared to believe in tomorrow. And in the shadow of war, a human, an alien girl, and a child who belonged to both worlds had found survival, hope, and a future worth fighting for. The universe still stretched wide and dangerous around them, but here, for this moment, life had won. Noah laughed, and Ethan and Lyra laughed with him, the sound carrying into the quiet night, a small victory, a spark of humanity and hope that would grow with the child who had survived everything. They would face the galaxy together. They would endure, and the universe, for all its darkness, had given them a chance to shine.